to be safe and not be able to get out or hurt themselves.
In order to pull 10 to 12,000 pounds, these have huge cleats on them. So those horses can get traction and then it digs in the ground like that. But Dave's going to explain the procedure he does to put the shoe on the horse.
Well, first of all, you got to decide what shoe you got. This, I don't know if you can see it, but the toe is laid out. This is a front shoe, and this toe is more straight down, and this is a back shoe. A draft horse will pull on his toes in the front, and in the back they'll pull flat-footed. So that's the reason for the difference in design, because the front foot goes like this and the back is flat.
Oh, that's interesting.
On a draft horse, the biggest problem with these things is you'll hurt their tendons, their front tendons and their back tendons and their hocks. So when you're trimming or shoeing one, you want to leave all the heel you can leave and pull the shoe back as far as you can. And when you do that, when you leave all the heel you can and you pull the shoe back as far as you can, you'll elevate the heels and lower the toe, and they'll take a shorter stride. You don't want a draft horse to overstride too far because they can't. It's momentum. They can't keep their momentum. If they'll take a short stroke, they have more power.
I noticed today that Dave did something that I have been wanting to do as a non-professional farrier, but I didn't know I could. So here's Dave's tip.
I just use a regular 16-ounce roofing hammer. It's less strokes, less times you hit the nail, and it's less evasive on your elbow and your shoulder.
And a real farrier hammer that you're supposed to use is a little tiny hammer. It has a little metal head on it, and it has a little short handle, and I've never been comfortable with one of those. And now that I see Dave uses a regular hammer, that's what I'm gonna do in the future. Well, I wanna give a big thank you to David and Denise for letting us come and show us around their homestead here in Kentucky. Off to Florida we go. Here we are back from the farm. That was fun. Thank you, Denise and David. Now what we're gonna do is read a couple letters from some of my viewers. This first letter is from Todd, who is an administrator at the Community Building Initiative in Chicago. And Todd writes, "Thanks for the video on building a small chicken coop. Are you in a warm climate? Do you have predators trying to dig under the fence?" Well, we are in a warm climate because we live in North Florida. And we did have a problem with, I think it was a raccoon trying to dig under the fence. But how we solved that problem was really easy. We cut like a 1-foot piece of wire, and the wall of the chicken coop came down, and we just simply attached that flat on the ground to the PVC pipe. So the predator would be standing on the wire and couldn't dig, and they weren't smart enough to lift it up with their nose and get under it and dig. So that worked out perfectly, and it was an easy fix. Thanks, Todd. This next letter is from Erica. She writes, "Hi, Becky. I just love your series. I happily subscribed. Can't wait to see more. Your log cabin series reawakened my love of log cabins. I'm 22 and have started the planning for home ownership. And I love the idea of a log cabin kit. What pride you must feel about building your own home. It must be great." Well, Erica, a log cabin kit has worked out really, really well for us. I am the primary builder, so a girl can do it and it's not a problem. So I encourage you to go ahead and save and get your kit. Okay, this next letter is from Joanne, and she writes, "I've been interested in homesteading for years, but as a single woman, don't want to go too far out in a rural area. Things are very difficult financially right now, but I'm trying to save a little to buy some land and build a cabin. I wanted to buy some land in a warmer area. I live in New Jersey. So I could garden year-round. I'm growing some lettuce, spinach, and parsley indoors under grow lights. It seems like areas where the prices are lower have no water or electrical hookups or are extremely cold. Do you have any temperate areas you can recommend to look for land which don't get hammered with hurricanes, tornadoes, pollution, and scorpions?" Okay, let me try to answer these questions one by one. First of all, that you're a single woman, I think that's fine. Joanne, I think you can still accomplish a lot, so just take your time and read. Make sure you educate yourself before you tackle a project. I'm sure you'll do fine. Next, I wanted to answer the question about land and the cheaper land not having water or power on them already. And that's fine too, Joanne, because that's exactly how we purchased our property. It didn't come with, excuse me, any well or power on it. So, you know, a lot of times when you're a homesteader, you have to take things step by step, especially if you don't have a lot of money. In the end, it worked out fine for us, so I'm sure it will for you too. As far as recommending land, I mean, everybody is so different in what they need and want. The only thing I think was a good idea is choosing somewhere warmer where you could garden year round. I think that's a great idea for a homesteader. I have a little story to tell you because Gloria talks about not wanting land where there's scorpions and pollution and hurricanes. When we first came to our property, we were walking around looking at it, and of course it was all woods. And unbeknownst to me, a scorpion crawled up my pants and bit me in the belly button. So I almost had a fit when that happened. I was screaming and yelling and trying to get the thing off me. I'm sure the neighbors thought the new lady was crazy. And after that, we were living in this really, really ratty old camper. It was just a little pop-up that we had borrowed from a friend of ours. Well, early in the morning, my son was sleeping on one side and my husband and I were sleeping on the other. My husband had gone off to work and my son just called me in the most terrifying voice. He's like, "Mom." So I jump up, of course, and I run over there because we all know our kids' voice when they're in trouble. So I go over there and I said, "What?" And he said, "There's a snake on me." And I'm looking, but it's kind of dark still. It was just barely dawn. And I'm like kind of leaning over and I'm saying, "Where?" And he was afraid to move. He was stiff as a corpse. And he said, "Right there." So when I leaned over a little further, I saw the snake head was literally like looking at him. It was his face and the snake looking right at him. So by me leaning over though, it had frightened the snake. And it was about a 4-foot snake and it had crawled away somewhere into the camper. So if you want to be a homesteader and kind of start from scratch, you will have little interesting things to deal with. We did end up looking up at the library, I did, what kind of snake it was. And it was just a harmless Florida pine rat snake. So we did go to bed the next night not being too worried about it. Well, thanks for all your letters, and it's nice to hear from everybody. Happy homesteading. Bye. I'm here with David, Denise's husband, and he is here working on a heavy horse. So I'm just going to ask him a few questions about the drafts. And I forgot the first question. What was it?